We're here to discuss how to become an ABLE certified church. Our presenter is Missi Vaughn, and she is ABLE Ministries project manager. She has a master's degree in special education and art of teaching and has 30 years of special education experience. She's a mom and a writer of a couple books that ABLE uses, one of which she's going to talk about tonight.
So let me tell you first of all a little bit about myself and why Able Ministry is so valuable. I do have an adult son with multiple physical and behavioral disabilities, and we spent many years struggling to make it through church. We struggled making it through life, but really through church. We spent a lot of time in the foyer, a lot of time outside on the stairs. We spent a lot of time in our car. And it wasn't because no one understood or cared about little Ed. They just didn't know what to do with him. We barely knew what to do with him, and he was our child. Um, and so as the years passed and we faced more and more things, we really wished that there was a program that could really educate others about our amazing child and the quirkiness that is little Ed. So the first thing I guess we need to address is, so why should we have able ministry in churches? And it is just for that reason, so that parents like myself, parents like Stephanie and Denise, and I'm sure some of you have children with disabilities, can enjoy services, but mainly so that our children can enjoy the services and our children can learn and they can love, because they have souls just like everybody else. They may think differently, they may act differently, but that doesn't mean that they are not worthy of gleaning every part of a church service that they can. So we we began talking about how to educate everyone concerning able ministry and the necessity of a well-rounded education that could meet the needs of a lot of different personality, because we all have different demographics. Um, we're in Louisiana. We have some that are in New Jersey. We have Stephanie and them that are in Missouri, but from Minnesota originally. So we're going to have a lot of different um, personalities that we're bringing to the table. Therefore, we're all going to handle Sunday school differently, church differently. We may worship a little bit differently. So, Able Ministry, we came up with the training manual. I don't know how many of you actually have the training manual, but that was a labor of love and a burden, and something that God really did put together. Now, there is some tweaking that still needs to be done on it, obviously. But in order to become an ABLE certified church, you need to be educated. I'm obviously love education. I've got many years of education under my belt as a special ed teacher. I'm also a registered social worker as well. And I've seen where education is vital to improving and making things happen. So, why become ABLE certified? Why not just have ABLE ministry in your church? Well, part of that is because you can have so many different versions of ABLE ministry without fully um, understanding and um, accepting, or what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Without a cohesive nature and personality to your ministry. So, ABLE certification begins with um, being willing to learn and to share and to continue learning and continue sharing.
Um, the manual that Missi is talking about, I will put the link to it in the chat box. And it's basically just how to start a disability ministry from soup to nuts. I mean, like everything you would possibly want to know. Sorry,
Yes.
Missi.
So the reason we talk about having the logo and identifying yourself, your church as an able certified church is, let's just say, for example, Stephanie, I'm going to use y'all as an example if that's okay. Stephanie and them lived in Minnesota, and they relocated to Missouri. Well, as a mom, our parents, as of their child, obviously the first thing they're going to want to do is find a church that is going to best fit their needs and is going to know their child the most, like how to work with him, how to help make things better. Um, no one wants to go take their child to a church where they're going to feel like they're not a part of it and like they're not important. So being able to identify churches that have been certified in able ministry and go through the training is going to help open up doors to allowing the church to have an outreach area, to help families when they come into a new area that's already going to be strenuous, it's already going to be difficult. They're going to be able to go into the church and say, yes, this church is trained in able ministry. They're going to accept us. They're going to understand my child a little bit better. And then you have created a unity for this family, and they're going to want to stay there and they're going to want to attend there. So, how do you become able certified? Well, there are actually kind of three ways. One is we have on Ministry Central, we have some training videos that if you log into Ministry Central under the UPCI, at the bottom of the page, there's a little tab or a little icon that says Able Ministry. You can click on there, log into it, and I think it's a series of three training videos. I will say the training videos are good, but they're not as informative as the other two ways that I actually prefer, because we were on a time limit with creating those videos. You can't ask questions, they're just videos, they're there. So there's two other options that I really prefer. The second option after the training videos are Zoom meetings. We do a lot of training via Zoom. Obviously, we're on Zoom tonight, so you can meet with someone that knows one of our trainers via Zoom. That's a great tool as well, because you can interact, you can ask questions, you can give examples and get your answers that you might have. My favorite way, and this is probably because I am an educator, is going to be in person. However, we are realistic and understand that that's not always an option. Most of these will do in person and Zoom. So you kind of have a good variety right there, and they're scattered all over the country. And I think that Stephanie's going to share their locations a little further on into the webinar. But being able certified will open doors for you to be accepting of people that are moving in. It opens doors to being an outreach program to your community, because let's face it, I know for us, when my son was first born, we had a lot of surgeries within like no time flat. And we had someone that came into our home, and she was a social worker, and she just made me feel like I was going to make it. I was going to survive. And she was not of the apostolic faith. But I will tell you, at the point that I was at, I was just so exhausted, so weak, that I probably would have stalked her if we'd had Facebook, and I would have found out where she went to church, and I probably would have gone with her. Just because when she came to my house, she would hold little Ed, she would play with my other kids, she would just, I think that she really did love us. And so that's why it's important for us to have churches that are prepared and are properly trained, because you don't know what the impact is that you're going to have on a family. And if you reach one member of the family, you're going to reach a whole lot more than just one. We, like at that point in my life, I was willing to uproot, and we had 4 children at this time. I was willing to uproot my husband and my 4 kids and leave my belief system that I adored and had been in my entire life to be somewhere that could accept me. So to become able certified, we have these options. We have we have teachers that are willing to travel. We have teachers that are willing to do Zoom meetings to educate you, to share with your church, to share the burden with you, um, and to educate not just teachers. Okay, so that's kind of where a misconception comes in. We're not about just Sunday school teachers. We say Sunday school teachers because that's who's basically have our children. But think about, there's a lot of pastors who are learning how to work with our families with disabilities. We have music staff. We have sound system people who need to be educated on how to use, the headphones and stuff that transmit information. We have um, we have security teams. Every church almost now has a security team in place. They need to be educated as well. So the education and becoming an able certified church, we will know, and you will know that your church has received a well-rounded education that can meet so many needs on so many levels. Now, here's one of the things that we kind of ran into just this past weekend. We had an amazing question that came up that we talked about. Denise and I did. Stephanie, I don't know if she was able to get the information to you, but one of the questions that we had was on the videos. If you watch a video and you go through the video things, you get a certificate whenever you're finished. Okay. That certificate says that only you went through the training. And it doesn't mean that your entire church is now qualified to be an able certified church. So that just qualifies just you, and you need to really try to have your team go through it. Have a team in place, and start that process. And it's not, being able certified doesn't just end with one with 1 or 2 lessons. It's going to be an ongoing journey, because every time you're going to come into contact with someone, some family that's got a different story, a different culture, they're coming from a different demographic. So it's going to be a learning process nonstop. Um, so again, if only one person from your church goes to that training seminar, especially on Ministry Central, that does not qualify your church to be able certified. Okay. Stephanie, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Nope. I would just say, and I'll talk about where the able reps are located later.
Okay.
But I would say reach out to your able rep, because she can, jump on Zoom or come over to your church because she's in your district, and do that training for your whole church would probably be
Yes.
the best way to do it.
I really am. And again, I know that part of it is because I believe in education. I really do believe the more education you have, whatever levels that you can have, um, it can't hurt. It's not going to hurt to know more. Okay. So, and sometimes you have to just say, I don't know it all. I don't know everything. And you have to, even if you think you do, even I still have a lot of stuff that I'm learning. Um, it's okay. You would rather be humble and learn and create an environment that's more crucial to to whoever you're trying to reach, um, and gain that knowledge, because that's going to make a big difference. So,
And
go ahead. I'm
sorry.
sorry.
And a lot of what's in the training manual is about how to structure it, and how to set it up, and how to, what are some basic forms you need, and what are some basic things that you need, which, to have everybody in your church, read through all of that and try to digest all of that, it really takes like a coordinator person. And
Yes.
then additional training needs to happen at the church level, but not nearly the
As in
intensity
depth.
that the coordinator or head of the ministry would need.
Yes. So typically, when I go in and I do a training, a full-fledged training, it takes me about 4 hours. Um, we take breaks, obviously, but the reason why it takes me 4 hours, and it may not take anyone else that long, but I am an extremely detail-oriented person, and so I do want to take time for questions, and I do want to take time for answers, and I do want to take time for communication. So it does sometimes take us a little bit longer to do it. But the training manual is really a good tool to get started and to continue. It's filled with information about different disabilities. It's filled with information about accommodations, adaptations, some terms that you might hear, especially if you are new to the world of disabilities. There's going to be some terminology in there that can help you understand. We have our spiritual IEP in there. We have intake forms that are very thorough informational tools to really know your child or to know the person, even the adult that you're working with. So when we created the manual, we really did try to make it as open for all ages as possible. And it's a we did come into something that we had know today that we need to add, and Stephanie is going to be putting that up later on. As we did have a waiver policy to add to allow children with disabilities who might be some serious behavior issues, and sometimes people are scared. That's just the reality of it. If we weren't scared, some people weren't scared, and you said you never were, I would say, well, you're probably not being truthful with us, because nobody goes into this being 100% secure in what they're doing and the decisions that they're making. So we will be adding a waiver form to the manual, and then Stephanie's going to be popping that into our files as well.
All right, so this is the training manual. If you prefer a QR code, you can scan the QR code. It is, I don't know how many pages. Like I said, it is very extensive. And it talks you through everything you need to do to set up a disability ministry, how to have the conversation with your pastor, on and on and on. So that's the book to get. And then, like Missi said, those videos go along with this book if you wanted to do it all virtually and without talking to anybody. All right, let me talk about Able Ministry just for a quick second. Okay, maybe a couple minutes. If you don't know, ABLE stands for Accept, Believe, Love, and Embrace Individuals and Families Affected by Disability. It all began when Denise Wynn wrote this book. And I'm sure everybody on this call knows how you feel when God says no, right? You're like, ugh. And she wrote this book, a rather raw look at her life with her child, who is profoundly affected by autism and epilepsy. And the ladies president at the time read the book and said, we have to do something about this. And Able Ministry was born out of that burden. Okay, so we are in 37 districts. So if your state or province is blue, that means you have an on-site local in your district ABLE representative who may be a couple hours away from you and can just drive on over and train your church. If your district is not lit up in blue, that means that you'll have to access the training team. So reach out to me, reach out to Missi. If you are interested in becoming an ABLE rep, and an ABLE rep is just somebody who connects the people in your district to each other and to ABLE Ministry, reach out to your ladies president, because ABLE Ministry is a program within ladies ministries, and your ladies president in your district appoints your rep. So something to think about there. If you do become an ABLE rep, it's an amazing community with a lot of support. Like I said, we've got 37 of them right now, and we don't believe in recreating the wheel. Like, we share, and it's lots of fun to see that community. What does an ABLE rep do in your district? One thing that they can do is set up a sensory room at camp, at your district events. They can offer sensory headphones at district events as well. And then, like we've been talking about this entire time for the whole 20 minutes, they can do all church training, in-person training, virtual Sunday school teacher training. What else does Able do? At the very center of Able, the way I like to think about it, is our Facebook group. If you're not on Facebook and you're not connected, please, please, please join our Facebook group. If you are a mom, and I saw that there were quite a few moms out there, we are having an 11-week virtual moms group. We have a Spanish group as well, if that is something that interests you. Those are the sensory headphones that we talked about earlier. If you are a Sunday school teacher, we talked about the spiritual IEP, which is that 15-question form to figure out what your kid needs. We have an accommodation download in God's Word for Life curriculum. So if you're interested in figuring out what do I do with a Sunday school lesson if I have a kid with autism, there's a download. And then we have some resource pages if you don't know anything about autism or ODD or ADHD or fill in the blank. We have about 10 common disability resource pages for you. And finally, we are on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we have a podcast. So feel free to reach out to any of those or partner with us. All right. So now we come to the question and answer. Any other questions? What is coming in? How do we get the spiritual IEP? The spiritual IEP, the easiest way to do it is just to go to our Facebook group and type in IEP in the search. I just posted links to it yesterday. And so that's the easiest way to do it. It is also located in, if you have God's Word for Life curriculum, it is located in the resources kit in the download. So I actually prefer the Facebook version of it because it's in Word and you can just type in it, which is really nice.
The questions is, do you have a form or policy for volunteers to become a part of your ABLE team at church, i.e. a volunteer form? Yes. In the manual, there is a very cohesive volunteer form complete with a confidentiality statement. We do have in there, we recommend that anyone who's going to work, especially if you're going to be a leader of this team, one of the things that we were recommended by Brother Sargent and the different ones that we spoke with is that anyone who's going to be working with children actually do go through a background check. And that if you are a team leader or the leader of your church, that you do have that on file, because you would rather be safe than sorry, especially if anything like that comes up. But it has everything like there's questions about your personality in there and can kind of put you in like a certain area that you would work best. So that's in the manual. That's in the reproducible sections under the Appendix 1. And you can do that. The one thing I do want to add that I didn't add a while ago is, so when you complete the videos on Ministry Central, Brother Sargent sends me an email with your information. And once we see that the church has been certified, we have certificates that we will pop in the mail to you. They're really cutesy, definitely able looking certificates, and that will come in like a glossy coating that I have, so that they they're pretty durable and all that good stuff. So we do have the certificates for once the church is actually completely trained. We do have those certificates as well, and those will qualify for the Zoom trainings as well. Whoever does the Zoom training will let me know, and I can get that out to you.
Somebody asked, what is the Ministry Central link? It's ministrycentral.com.
Yes.
All right. I think, yes, if you want Zoom training, coordinate that with your district representative.
And right. let me add one last thing. I don't know who all on here already has Able Ministry started at your church and who doesn't. If you do not, I encourage you to share what information you know with your pastor and the executive team, because sometimes, again, that's where I talk about the education. Sometimes it's just a matter of them not knowing that Able Ministry is out there and what they do and what we're a part of. And it doesn't matter how large your church is or how small the church is. Any church size can become ABLE certified.
And with that, thank you so much for joining.
Thank y'all.
See you next time.